Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from latestly.
Good to see you, flashing your smile as always, just the way we see you
Thanks, Prathmesh.
as a jury on your reality shows.
Thanks, Prathmesh. Lovely to hear
Yeah.
from you.
And I have been to your place. We had a lovely chat there, if you remember.
Yeah.
So it's nice to reconnect, but it's not so nice time to reconnect. But yeah, that's how it is. So we are resorting to different methods such as this to to know what is happening in your life. So tell me what is happening in your life.
I think it's been. I think for me, it's like there's different perspectives. I think for people like us, at some level, we are fortunate because we have the ability to actually take that time out.
Mhm.
And I think for me right now, I think more than anything else, I think my heart really goes out to the ones who are struggling with this. Because there are a lot of people out there who cannot even put a square meal on their table, as a result of this. So I think my mind thinks more about that right now than anything else. I think we are very fortunate. Our problems are nothing. Our problems are very, very basic, compared to what theirs are.
So this sensitivity towards this subject, I mean, many people are complaining about it as well, though. But you are watching this, you're seeing this through a perspective which is kind of kind and compassionate. Is this because you're an artist and you're a creative person?
I think I think it's an understanding of yourself as a human being. You understand that you're part of a whole,
Hmm.
and anything that affects the whole affects you as well. So because it affects the larger consciousness of life, you know what I mean? Like, so if we
True.
are going through this, then we have to be aware of what the least of our people are
Hmm.
feeling, and how. So I think when we're doing things, being aware of that, celebrating uh, our togetherness at times like this is very important, but
Hmm.
also at times like this, right now I'm together with my family, and that's really, really lovely. But there are people out there who are not together with their families. There are people out there today. I have the time out. There are people who do not need the time out. They need food on their tables. So uh, it would be unrealistic for me to sit in my island and observe how I live
Hmm.
and not be able to see how they live. You know what I mean? And understand them.
Hmm.
And I think as an artist, or just as a human being, I think an artist is second. I think being human is first. I think being a human being is first. I think.
For someone who makes the starry feet tap to his own tune, for a professional like you, I mean, someone who is always on the move, always fluid, what does it take to be still in this lockdown phase? Or are you still, or are you moving in your house? How does it work?
Well, I have continued doing some work because, the academy still classes continue, and so we've started online classes, which are, I think, just free of service, because I think that that's the least that I can do, at least, and contribute in some ways, at least keep people's spirits up and keep them physically active, because it helps from a health perspective. But I myself am personally also teaching. So I teach 3 times a week, so that gives me, and it's been
Okay.
very, very interesting because. Uh, I actually have a chance to teach everybody from the junior most dancers to the senior most dancers. And normally I don't have access to the junior most dancers in the academy.
Yeah.
So it's quite refreshing actually for me to have that access and that time to access that understanding of dance and the arts. So it's refreshing. It's been very, very refreshing. And it's also coming back to ground zero and understanding who you are. And, sometimes you're working at a level which is a little advanced, and then you forget the base layer from where you started everybody, and it's nice to go get back in touch with that again.
From Shah Rukh Khan to Shahid Kapoor to Ranbir Kapoor, you have made everybody dance, Ashley. So please let me know, what does it take to, as you said, that you're going back to the junior artist. Is there much to learn from that strata also? Why
I
is
think
it so rewarding?
I think your information base changes, but you as a soul, as a human being, you never change. You are who you are, and that purity of who you are is what transcends and what actually communicates. So every time you go back to someone who's starting, there is a naivety and there's an innocence that you connect up with immediately, which sometimes in acquiring knowledge, you can lose a little bit of that innocence, And so when you go back there and you're connecting with that innocence, it's suddenly you get reminded of, oh, this is who I actually am, not the knowledge, And so that's very refreshing.
You said that you are teaching dance twice or thrice a week, But this is not a social gathering. This is happening online. So people should not,
happening online. Yeah. And it comes with its own challenges because you can't physically go and help the person correct their body line or do anything like that, or, do the step in front of them, like kind of thing. So it comes with its challenges, but it's been fun. It's a new way of observing and learning. So it's quite interesting.
So does that make you technologically more advanced, if not exactly tech savvy?
I am not a tech savvy person, as you could have seen when we were first trying to get this whole thing connected up. But
same here. Trust me, same here.
I'm a shocker. I'm a shocker with this. So, but now with this, yes, I've had to get tech savvy. And some of my dancers are all very, very tech savvy. So they have been guiding me just like how you were being guided. I could hear you being guided. So I also get guided. They come onto the line and they tell me how to join the meeting and what to do and what windows to open and stuff like that. And I just follow that. So yes, I am getting a little bit more tech savvy, but yeah, and hopefully that's going to be another feather in my cap. I'll learn something new.
Did you always nurture this habit of introspecting, looking within, or this particular phase, this lockdown phase, has allowed you and has given you this liberty to look within, to introspect, and to relearn, perhaps?
I think I've always, as a habit, I've been someone who introspects, because I don't think you can communicate accurately if you're not doing it with introspection as an artist. You cannot communicate accurately because then you're only going to communicate a point of view. You're not going to communicate an observation, if that makes sense. Because if you introspect, then your point of view gets put aside, and what you're going to do is give the whole observation, including the parts you don't like, from your own actions. So it's actually, as an artist, I think it's very important to introspect. You cannot, otherwise you're just putting forth an opinion. You're not putting forth an observation. And for me, I think art is about putting forth an observation, not an opinion.
So apart from, say, your own craft, what else are you observing that can perhaps help you in your craft?
I think right now, what I'm observing right now is I'm observing the whole universe and how the universe is working, and how I'm observing in totality how everything is changing and we are not in control. And the understanding that we were never in control, and the acceptance of the fact that we were never in control. And what we are in control of is a microscopic aspect of the larger control. So we are given, and that control is a gift, and that choice is a gift. It's not a right. And so to understand that in the totality, like the new piece I'm going to do is Om, which is talking about the totality of life, and then understanding you as a central nucleus within that, and the totality of you and both. You are the center, but you're also the extremity. So the understanding of that and how easily that can shift your center makes you understand and accept that, you have to understand the whole when understanding yourself, not just understanding yourself in exclusion. So at a time like this, when everything else is taken away, you're just stuck there with, okay, I've got nothing to do except to be with me and to be with my universe. And so you start to understand that, all the things between you and the universe, they fall away. They're not relevant. The universe has its own rules and its own laws, and it shifts what's between you and the extremity of the universe as it chooses.
Exactly.
And it decides that, okay, I want to change it today.
Yeah.
I want to change it today. It changes it. And like, you think you're in control of that, but you have no control whatsoever of that.
For people like you and me who operate in the industry, so to speak, in our capacities, where we encounter people who live in their own islands, in their own bubbles, this time was a must to fact check, to know the essential governing laws of the universe, and to know that, as you said, we are just a minuscule part of it, and there is a larger context, there's a larger picture. We must understand the larger picture in order to understand ourselves. So good that it is happening.
I think it's very good. I think everything is very good, but within that, it's also, I think, I think it creates an awareness within the nucleus of each individual. And if you're aware, the moment you start getting aware of the larger world in which you exist, you automatically, the compassion starts to come in, and then the overall consciousness hopefully will grow. But it can also go the other way. It can also go to the point of complete seclusion, and the ego can go into overdrive and go into protect. And so then you actually attach more and you want only for yourself. So it can go both ways, so it's an interesting time, and it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. And I think that what's going to happen finally is that the universe is going to beat us down to such a point where the ego is beaten down to such a point where we come to that place of, okay, I quit, okay, now what do you want me to do? It says unify. Okay, let's unify. Let's be compassionate. Let's help,
But are you hopeful that we will be learning our lessons, or do you think that we'll go back to square one as soon as things go back to normalcy?
I don't think it's going to come back so fast to square one. I think something like this, everybody is going to introspect. You have to introspect. You're left with you. There's nothing else. All the frills of all the attachments, like out here, any kind of acquisition or position disappears. And what you're left with is you. And you don't have a choice. You have to see it. Because everything else is taken away.
No matter who you are. No matter who you are.
No matter who you are.
The superstar, the president.
Of a country.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You can be the president of a country. You can be, I don't know, whoever you are. It doesn't matter, because right now, everything's taken away and you're just left with you.
Absolutely.
So all the titles have gone, all the frills have gone. It's just you. And so then your understanding of you are now equal to the guy who's on the street. Then the understanding, hopefully, of, oh my God, then the compassion starts to come. You start to think, okay, I wonder how he's feeling, because I could very easily be there.
In that case, we are also reflecting upon these times of gloom. Many people are not exactly feeling chirpy and happy about it. So how does one stay motivated and positive and keep moving, perhaps? Do you have a way to show?
I think for me, one of my mentors always told me that, you can either look at the glass half full or half empty. So out of every circumstance, there's never a problem. There's always an opportunity. So even within this, no matter how low you are, there's an opportunity for you to discover more about you. There's an opportunity for you to discover who you actually are and how much strength you have. There's an opportunity to strengthen your survival instinct, your opportunity to grow who you are and build the relationships that you have around you stronger and clearer. So for me, it's all about opportunity. It's all about what can you take away from this as a learning for yourself.
Right.
There's an opportunity you can learn about who you are within yourself. There are so many aspects of yourself that you would not explore. Like I, for example, have started writing a lot more than I would write. I've started philosophizing and thinking a lot more about life than I normally would. I'm so much into movement that I don't sometimes think about the purpose of that movement and why I move. But now, because there's no movement, I'm thinking about the purpose of it. And so all of a sudden, you're digging into layers of
Actually,
understanding.
I'm sure when you say movement, it's not just a body movement. It's not just a physicality of it. It's also the tech movement, how we are thinking, the thought processes, what we check on a WhatsApp, YouTube, news movement. So everything is motion. It appears as if it is unnecessary at times, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like right now, there's so much of stuff that is absolutely unnecessary. I think that's what the universe is trying to tell us, that, we are involved in such frantic and frenetic activity, which is absolutely of no consequence because it doesn't head anywhere. In our understanding of progression could actually be regression. Because like I was just saying today, that no matter how much you progress, okay, so let's say, for example, like I heard recently that, the USA wants to go and mine plutonium from the moon. So they're going to go and mine plutonium from the moon. And then what's going to happen next is that the moon's going to say, okay, screw you guys. And it's going to create a tidal wave, which is going to destroy all the people anyway. So the world has a way of correcting itself. And there's nothing, we are given that choice. We are given that choice, and we control the universal consciousness by the understanding that we are part of that universal consciousness, if that makes sense. And if we don't get that, it will constantly have upheaval and we'll constantly have correction and upheaval and correction, so that's normal. There'll be good times and there'll be bad times. The yin and the yang will constantly happen. It's a cyclic flow. And we are in charge of it, which is interesting. The universe gives us that choice, even though it can decide. So as a nucleus we choose, but we're also not in choice of the larger consequence.
It's easy for someone who reads a lot, who observes life in general a lot, and as you said, philosophizes a lot. But what about those 19-year-old, 18-year-old who must utilize this time in order to be more productive once they are out of this lockdown phase? They should not reflect upon this phase saying that, okay, I wasted that time in doing nothing. So what is your suggestion? What is your suggestion as a creative person? Yeah. What should they?
I think for an 18 or a 19-year-old, I think it's a time for them to slow down. to be honest. It's a time for them to slow down, because sometimes I think
Come
like
on, they had,
I was
they
having
had
a
hardly
chat-
started.
Yeah,
They had hardly started.
yeah, but you know, a lot of them they're moving a lot faster because information is flying so fast. They're getting a lot of information, but they're not getting as much experience. So the information flow is much greater than the experience flow for them right now. So for me right now, I think the information flow is speeding up right now because they've got nothing else to do. So the information flow is speeding up, but also there's going to be that overload of information where it's going to come to a place where they say, okay, enough. Okay, now let me just be still for a while, you know, and then they'll value experience a lot more. Because right now, not having any experience, they're going to really value experience. So for me right now, the best thing to do is when you're at home, little things that you learn, experience yourself. Like if you're a dancer, lock yourself in a room, forget about the accolades of learning choreography and stuff like that. Learn to be you in a room, dance your butt off. You know what I mean? Like really get in touch with you is what I tell youngsters right now. Is take this time out, because in their busy world, they never get the time to take out and experience themselves physically or experience themselves emotionally, you know? So take that time out right now, like watch movies, do stuff that engages you, that gets you to understand who you are, rather than be caught up in, you know, in just this connecting up with people and just, you know, putting out there who you are. Try to understand who you are yourself. Take this time to understand yourself rather than trying to put yourself out there. Because if you understand, when this thing finishes, you'll have so much more to put out there.
Dancing your heart out, as you said, would that help in order to, you know, to gain that much needed composure, to collect yourself, to gain that stability? Will that help? Does that help?
I think whenever you dance, I think it takes you to God, because like, you know, you're disconnected from your intellect completely. Yeah. So when you're disconnected from your intellect, you're completely with the music, you are with you. In that moment, there is absolute stillness, and you remind yourself of who you are and why you actually exist, which is just for the point of joy and the celebration of being alive. And I think everybody should dance. I think everyone should dance. Like, you know, even if they dance by themselves, it doesn't matter how good or bad they dance. It's just, it brings you to you. When you are with the music, it's you. And it's not about other people.
I'm sure this lockdown phase gives you ample time to reflect upon your own career as well. And as I said in my introduction, that you made all these superstars from Shah Rukh Khan to Shahid Kapoor to Abhay Deol, everybody danced, Saif Ali Khan. So do you reflect upon some of your positive moments and not so positive moments? Which were the best ones and which were not so good ones?
I think I personally, honestly, Prathamesh, I've had a really good time, because my whole attitude when I come into any kind of thing that I do is either I'm going to enjoy it or I won't touch it. So that's my whole attitude. So if I'm going to go into it, I'm going to figure out how to have fun with it.
Yeah.
So it's about, my fun is learning. So for me, if I'm working with any actor, is to learn what he or she has and how can I take what they have and bring it to where it should go. So for me, it's always been a fun experience. I've never really had any like negative kind of experience.
I'm not saying bad or negative experience, but something that you expected out of some superstar and it did not turn out to be true. In fact, it turned out to be completely contradictory or opposite. Was there any such moment?
That has happened a lot of times, like and mostly in a positive way. Like, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, you have a notion of a superstar being like that big, like, you know, like, and being an amazing dancer. Like, for example, when I was working with Hrithik in Guzarish, you know, like, yeah, and he was he had a huge reputation of dance, and here was I had to make him do the dance with the ball, you know, which was in almost like a contemporary kind of routine. And Hrithik's style is not that style. And he had a knee injury. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be so difficult for me to explain to him and understand to him. But then when I actually started chatting with him, I turned around and said to him, I said, you know, Hrithik, I said, I'm going to find this very difficult because I'm already very overwhelmed by the fact that I have to take you, who already has a reputation in one area, and then showcase you in another area.
Right.
And match that reputation. You know, I said, I'm overwhelmed. Forget you, you know. And the way he just tapped me on the shoulder and said, listen, we'll get this done. Don't worry. And then the way he worked, like, and he just said, okay, I'm your student. I'm like in your studio. Right. Like, forget about anything. I'm a dancer here, you know, like, and that for me was like, oh my God, you know, like, it was literally like seeing a guy, like I was talking about the innocence and why you stay where you are. I saw that innocence, that like, I want to learn this stuff, and for me, that is like always been amazing.
Rather
And I
than
find that
chasing
with
the
all
accolade. Rather than chasing the accolade.
than chasing the accolade. And I found that with all the major achieved actors, they always are, pushing their boundaries. And that for me is an inspiration. Because I think at some level, I think I'm more philosophical. I'm not as ambitious.
Actually, in that case, can you please give us a perspective, an honest one, especially when it comes to this debate between who's a better dancer, Hrithik or Shahid Kapoor? And I must add this comment to the question, that Hrithik puts in so much effort to the point that it looks effortless, as opposed to Shahid, who simply glides, he simply moves. So how do you see these two different dancers, these two superstars, as far as their dancing skills go?
I think as far as dancing is concerned, each one has their own language. I always believe that dancers have their own language and have their own style of communication, So each one has their own style of communication. I think if I had to look at the two, I think Shahid communicates more through his physicality. And I think like Hrithik communicates a little more through his personality, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So I think, but they each have their language and they each very effective. They're very, very effective.
Who gave you hardest time when it came to coaching someone for dance? Any star, any superstar, any hero or heroine for that matter?
Not really.
It was a challenge for you to make that person dance.
I think it was fun when I was working with Ajay and Kajol in Yumi or Hum.
Okay.
The challenge was working with them because they were husband and wife. So it was making them dance as a couple.
Yeah. Was a challenge?
Like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
How did you manage in the end? How did you manage in the end?
Yeah. So I think when you're, I've learned that when you're dancing, when you're choreographing or teaching couples, I think you got to learn to be a marriage counselor as well. So you got to know how to handle that as well. Like it is a balance.
Actually, in that
it
case,
was quite cute. Actually,
what your approach is like when you come as a jury, as a judge on a reality show. You have to wear this hat of a responsible master. Wherein you have to dish out your opinion about a certain performer. At the same time, you have to guide him or her as well. So how do you strike that balance once you come on board as a jury?
Sorry, say that again. The balance between?
The balance between being someone who can criticize and analyze, and at the same time can nurture and guide someone.
How do you do that? I think you got to first be a nurturer. Because if you're coming from a point of nurturing, then your criticism is positive and endorsing and developing. But if you're coming from a point of criticism first, then you're going to drop the self-esteem in that criticism. It's going to be in the nature of the criticism. Because no matter what, I think if you understand yourself as an artist and then you want to build other artists, it's natural for you because you've seen yourself at that level when you were younger. So there is an empathy immediately. So you bring that nurturing element out first and then you guide them. And then the criticism is more a feedback than a criticism, if that makes sense. It's more like these are the possibilities that you could add to your life or add to your craft.
Absolutely.
But you also have the respect to give them that choice to choose because there's a knowing that you could also be wrong.
Yeah.
These are not still learning yourself.
You're still learning.
You're still learning
relearning maybe. Relearning maybe.
And relearning, yeah. Sometimes you learn out of the babe of mouth. Sometimes a youngster gives you a principle which you have not thought of because you're maybe sometimes too corrupt and so practiced in your technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's my last question. I mean, you said that these are not exactly the times where people are happy and chirpy that they can actually dance, but still anybody can dance and everybody must dance. To the fact that they can come to this, as you said, this motion or perhaps this stillness and perhaps to this understanding that we are this part of this whole and therefore cherish that fact as well that we have got this time to be with ourselves. So any parting message, any conclusion you want to draw with that?
I think to everybody, I think I just share that I think this is a time for you. It's a time to celebrate you, celebrate your life, celebrate your existence, understand who you are and understand how you fit into your life and take this time out to slow down, to speed up, if that makes sense.
Wow, that does make sense. Always Always pleasure chatting with you. Thanks a
Thanks,
lot for your
Prathamesh.
time,
Same here.
and thanks a lot for your kind words and your ability to philosophize at the same time, making so much sense at the same
But I
time.
have to tell you, Prathamesh, even the last time when you interviewed me, it's always a pleasure because I think you're one of those intelligent interviewers. You really plug in there and you are chasing so much more. And thank you for having me.
And I must add here that I have not paid you to say that.
No, you have certainly
I
haven't.
do not get any dance courses free from Ashley Lobo, that for sure. Hopefully, we meet soon and in better times.
Soon, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take care, Prathamesh.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Thank you so much.